Why God allows you to struggle with lust, the hidden purpose behind the thorn. Have you ever wondered why the very sin that brought you to your knees keeps rising up to challenge you again? You prayed about it, you fasted, you declared victory over it, and yet, like a shadow at sunset, it returns. You've asked God to remove this thorn from your flesh, but instead of relief, you find yourself wrestling with the same haunted you for months temptation that has, maybe even years. Let me tell you something that might shock you. What if I told you that your struggle with lust isn't a sign of God's disappointment in you? What if the very battle you've been ashamed of is actually evidence of His calling on your life? What if the thorn you've been begging Him to remove is the exact tool He's using to shape you into who you're meant to become? The truth is this: God doesn't waste our struggles. He redeems them. And that private war you've been fighting in silence, that burden you carry that feels too heavy to bear, might just be the birthplace of your greatest breakthrough. Because sometimes what feels like God's absence is actually His presence working in ways we cannot see. Today I want to share with you why God allows you to struggle with lust and the hidden purpose behind the thorn that pierces your flesh. By the end of this message, you'll understand that your battle isn't meaningless, your struggle isn't punishment, and your weakness isn't disqualification from His plan. The enemy wants you to believe that your struggle with lust makes you unfit for God's purposes. He whispers lies that your temptation disqualifies you from ministry, from leadership, from being used by God. But hear me clearly. Your struggle doesn't diminish your calling. It deepens it. Because the man who has wrestled with darkness understands the value of light in ways others never will. Scripture tells us that Paul pleaded 3 times for God to remove his thorn in the flesh. 3 times he begged for deliverance. 3 times heaven seemed silent to his cry. But God's response wasn't rejection. It was revelation. He said, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Notice God didn't say His power was made perfect in strength. He said weakness. The very area where you feel most vulnerable is where His strength wants to shine brightest. Your struggle with lust isn't God's mistake. It's His masterpiece in the making. But why would a loving God allow this? Why would He permit you to wrestle with desires that war against your spirit? The answer might surprise you, because sometimes the only way to build sometimes the only way to develop genuine shakeable character is through unshakable testing. Humility is through genuine struggle. And sometimes the only way to learn complete dependence on God is through the reminder that you cannot do this on your own strength. Your lust isn't just battling your flesh, it's battling your pride. It's stripping away every ounce of self-righteousness that would make you think you earned God's favor through your performance. It's demolishing the illusion that you can live the Christian life through willpower and good intentions alone. Think about it this way. The man who has never been tempted doesn't truly understand grace. He thinks his clean record is proof of his strength. But the man who has fallen and been lifted up again, who has failed and been forgiven again, who has stumbled and been restored again, that man knows grace isn't just a doctrine. It's a lifeline. Your struggle with lust is God's way of keeping you close to the cross. Because the moment you think you've graduated from needing His mercy is the moment you've actually stepped backward in your walk with Him. The thorn keeps you tender. The battle keeps you broken in the best possible way. The struggle keeps you surrendered. But there's more to this mystery. Your battle with lust isn't just about what God is doing in you. It's about what He's preparing you for. Because the man who has conquered his own flesh through God's grace is the man who can help others conquer theirs. Your testimony isn't just about your victory. It's about your vulnerability. The ministry that emerges from your struggle will carry an authenticity that cannot be manufactured. When you stand before another man drowning in shame, your words won't come from textbook knowledge. They'll come from battlefield experience. When you look into the eyes of someone convinced they're too broken for God's love, you won't offer empty platitudes. You'll offer the scars that prove grace is real. This is why God allows the thorn to remain, not because He enjoys watching you suffer, but because He's forging something in the furnace of your struggle that cannot be created any other way. Character forged in the fire of temptation burns brighter than character that never faced the flame. Your lust exposes every area where you've tried to be your own God. Every moment you choose flesh over spirit reveals where you've placed your trust in yourself rather than Him. And in that revelation comes the opportunity for deeper surrender. The battle strips you down to what's real, what's true, what's lasting. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. Your struggle with lust isn't evidence that you're farther from God. It's often evidence that you're getting closer. Because the closer you draw to the light, the more visible the shadows become. The deeper you go with God, the more aware you become of areas that still need His touch. Many believers live in spiritual mediocrity precisely because they've never been confronted with the depth of their need for God. They coast on surface-level faith because they've never been driven to their knees by the reality of their own weakness. But you, wrestling with this thorn, you're being invited into something deeper. God is using your struggle to develop spiritual muscles that can only be built through resistance. Every time you choose to flee temptation, you're building spiritual strength. Every time you run to Him instead of running to sin, you're deepening your relationship with Him. Every time you confess instead of conceal, you're walking in the light. The thorn serves another purpose. It protects you from pride that would destroy your destiny. Imagine if God removed every struggle from your life. Imagine if you never had to battle, never had to fight, never had to depend on His strength. You might begin to think your success was your own doing. You might start believing your own press releases about your spirituality. But the thorn keeps you honest. It reminds you daily that without Him, you can do nothing. It forces you to your knees when you might otherwise stand in pride. It drives you to His word when you might otherwise rely on your own wisdom. It makes you hungry for His presence when you might otherwise be satisfied with His presence. Your battle with lust is also preparing you to understand the battles of others. The compassion you'll carry for those struggling in secret comes directly from the nights you've cried out to God for strength. The mercy you'll extend to the fallen emerges from your own experience of being lifted up. The hope you'll offer to the hopeless is born from your own encounters with grace in your darkest moments. This struggle isn't wasted time. It's not a detour from your destiny. It's the very road that's leading you there. Because God doesn't just want to use your victories. He wants to use your valleys. He doesn't just want to display your strength. He wants to showcase His strength perfected in your weakness. So here's what I want you to remember as you walk away from this message. Your struggle with lust isn't your disqualification. It's your preparation. That thorn piercing your flesh isn't God's rejection of you. It's His refining of you. The battle you've been fighting in secret isn't evidence that you're too broken for His purposes. It's proof that you're being shaped for something greater. Stop running from the struggle and start learning from it. Stop hiding from the battle and start growing through it. Because when God is finished with His work in you, your testimony won't just be about what He saved you from. It will be about what He saved you through. The thorn that torments you today will become the tool that transforms others tomorrow. The weakness that humbles you now will become the platform where His strength is displayed. And the grace that carries you through this season will become the hope you offer to a world desperate for proof that God's love is real. Your struggle isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your ministry. Trust the process, embrace the journey, and remember that His grace is sufficient. Always sufficient. Even for this, even for you. God bless you.